Let's get a response now on the future of QR codes and this afternoon's National Cabinet decision quickly on rapid antigen tests. Let's go to President of the Pharmacy Guild, Trent Twomey. Trent, thank you very much for your time. I want to ask you first to National Cabinet. The Prime Minister stands very firm against allowing an open slather approach to rapid antigen testing available freely. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, the Pharmacy Guild has, in fact, we were the first organisation to come out and ask for subsidised tests. So the pharmaceutical benefit scheme in Australia has always been a two-tiered system. So we've always had pension and concession card holders who receive things at a subsidised rate, and then we've got the general population who pay a bit more. And it's a system that has served us well. It's a system that ensures that regardless of your socioeconomic status, you have access to not only essential medicines, but also essential healthcare. So, it's not just the Prime Minister who said this. It was every state and territory chief minister and premier as well. It was a national cabinet decision. But Chris, I should just remind everyone that if you have symptoms or if you're a close contact, so you live with someone in a house, as you were just talking about, you can get a free test. Regardless of how much you earn, you just access your free test from one of those state and territory testing facilities. So the ones that we're going to be having in pharmacy, they're for the worried well, and they are going to be made cheaper now, in fact free, for anybody that is receiving a government benefit.
But what's the story in terms of stocks of rapid antigen tests in pharmacies at the moment?
Yeah, you're right. So accessibility isn't just can I afford to do it? It's also, is the stuff in Australia and is it where I can access it? And that's the problem that we've got at the moment. So because the system was caught off guard, we weren't given any forewarning that that switch was being flicked, where we were going from pathology-based PCR as the mainstay, substituted or supplemented by point of care, to point of care being the mainstay supplemented by pathology. We were caught off guard. So if we'd had a month's notice, right, if National Cabinet, so the chief ministers, the premiers, and of course the Commonwealth had given us notice that they were going to flip that switch, we would have ordered up, we would have stocked up, and we would have had plenty. But, you can't just flick a switch and get these things that are by and large made overseas. Some of them are made here, but most of them are made overseas, into every pharmacy and every retail outlet with a week's notice.
And it's true to say this has been caused and expedited by this massive bottleneck right on Christmas, where absolutely every man and woman and his dog and their dogs turned up to get a PCR test. And even the pathologist looked at that and said, holy hell, I didn't get that email.
Listen, you got the clinical advice, right, which is made by National Cabinet under the advice of the AHPPC, which is the principal committee made up of all those chief health officers and those chief medical officers in every state and territory. And they made the right clinical decision going from PCR to rapid antigen. The problem is, mate, the only way really out of this crisis is for everyone to get COVID. And so what we've been doing so far is delaying everybody getting COVID till we could get those vaccination rates up. But we've known that 90% double dose was coming. We've known that we were going to release the restrictions. So we should have done this a bit earlier. But you know what? It's going to be a bump in the road. We're not Robinson Crusoe when you compare yourselves around the world here. A lot of other developed countries have the same problem, mate, and give us 2 weeks and it should be right.
What do you think of QR codes? Are we about to see the end of those?
Oh, for God's sake. I was with my 86-year-old grandfather the other day. I had to take him to the optometrist. He doesn't have a smartphone, so I do all of that for him. The last thing Aussies want is another bloody QR code to check in, another QR code for their prescription, and they definitely didn't want a QR code to be able to access a free rapid antigen test. We've all got, those of us that are on healthcare concession cards already have a voucher in their wallet or in their purse. It's called their concession card, for goodness sake. So let's stop creating new bespoke systems to get out of this. It just confuses everyone. Use existing systems and processes.
Last question. We're going to have a bit of a bottleneck, are we not, later this month, maybe even as early as next week, because you've got the 5 to 11-year-olds turning up for a jab, and then you've got all these people coming on board to get their booster shots. Have we got the stocks of vaccine at pharmacists and GP clinics that we need?
Not today, but we will next week. So unfortunately, this is where I say we shouldn't do bespoke systems. We should use existing supply chains. Rather than using the normal pharmacy distribution network to distribute vaccines, they've been using things like Linfox and DHL, right? And the problem with using Linfox and DHL is they were busy delivering stuff for Santa over Christmas. So we didn't receive any vaccines over Christmas, mate. So our first order since, the week before Christmas is next week. So we're running low, but next week we're going to get a huge delivery.
Great explanation of facets of this rollout at the moment. Trent Twomey, thank you very much for your time.
Good on you, Chris. Thanks, mate.